Hey folks, this is Rhykker with a Diablo 3 Witch Doctor build guide. This guide is for Season 24, the season of Ethereals, but we'll also go over what to do if you're playing non-season, and this should also be applicable to future seasons. This is a guide for the Zunimassa Dagger of Darts build, which is one of the strongest builds in the game in Season 24, and arguably the strongest Witch Doctor build. In this video, we're going to cover the gear, the skills, the playstyle, everything you need to rock this build with Ethereals and without. And you can also follow along with the written version of this guide made by top player Chewy on maxroll.gg. And it all starts with the Zunimassa 6-piece set. The 2-piece makes your fetish army last until they die, and the cooldown of your fetish army is reduced by 80%. The 4-piece makes you and your pets take 3% less damage for every fetish you have alive. And the 6-piece makes enemies hit by your mana spenders take an absurd amount more damage from your pets for 8 seconds. While we do want to benefit from the 6-piece bonus of this set, we will only be equipping 5 pieces with a Ring of Royal Grandeur. The Ring of Royal Grandeur, which you get from Act 1 bounty bags, reduces the number of items needed for set bonuses by 1. And this is because there are 3 very important supplemental items to work into this build, which we can only do if we are sacrificing a piece of Zunis. One of those is the Carnevil. Either this goes in your cube or you wear it. The 10 fetishes closest to you will shoot a powerful poison dart every time you do. The other helm we want is the Mask of Jerem. Pets deal 200% increased damage. All of our damage in this build is coming from our fetishes. Our darts won't be doing much damage, it's all coming from those fetishes. We also want the Depth Digger's Pants. We're going to equip these. Primary skills that generate resource deal double damage. We also need the Dagger of Darts. Your poison darts and your fetish's poison darts now pierce, meaning they go through enemies, they don't just stop at one, very important, and deal an additional 500% damage. These pieces all critical to the build. A Witching Hour will help, it's the best in slot belt you can have, but you don't 100% need it for this build to work. Now, other items that will help us out here. We can use 2 pieces of the Oghild set. This is a set that you craft yourself at the blacksmith. You first have to find the level 70 plan. There are 2 versions of Oghilds, a low level and a level 70 version. You want the level 70 version. The 2-piece bonus reduces damage taken by 15%, increases damage dealt by 30%, and then the 3-piece, which we're going to benefit from because we have the Ring of Royal Grandeur, reduces damage from elites by 30%, increases damage against elites by 30%. That's going to be the shoulder and bracer combo. For a ring, we're going to take a convention of elements for GR pushing. That's just a lot more damage. And we'll round things out with a Squirt's necklace. While not taking damage, damage dealt is increased by up to 100%, and damage taken is increased by up to 50%. Now, because we're playing a ranged build with lots of pets, we're not taking damage. We're hoping to not take damage. We're trying to not take damage. And thus, we keep up our Squirt's buff. Now, we'll also ideally want, for our Ethereal, the Gidbin. Apart from giving increased attack speed, crit chance, crit damage, cooldown, it gives you plus 200% damage to all voodoo skills. Our fetishes are a voodoo skill. The other 2 Witch Doctor Ethereals will not give this huge damage multiplier to our fetishes. So this really is the sole Ethereal for this build. However, if you don't have the Gidbin, you would still take any other Ethereal as long as it has the correct legendary property. Ethereals roll with a random passive, which isn't that important. It's nice to have, but that doesn't make or break an Ethereal. Your 5th best passive isn't critical. What is critical is the legendary power. And the 2 legendary powers that you want with this build are the Dagger of Darts legendary power, as well as the Echoing Fury's legendary power, which is slaying enemies engulfs the wielder into a frenzy. So while the Gidbin is your best in slot, any Ethereal that has one of those 2 legendary properties can be used, and will be better than just using either a Dagger of Darts or an Echoing Fury. That said, if you don't have any Ethereals, if you're playing non-season, or you haven't gotten any Ethereals yet, or you're coming here season 25 or later, then the 2 items you want, Echoing Fury and Dagger of Darts. For our legendary gems, Enforcer Gem, very important. Huge damage multiplier to our pets. We're also going to take Simplicity's Strength. Huge damage multiplier, double damage to our primary skills. And as a nice added bonus, hits with primary abilities heal you for 4% of your max health. For Greater Rift pushing, we're taking a Bane of the Stricken. The more you attack an enemy, the more damage you deal to that enemy, and just a flat 25% increased damage against Rift Guardians. If you're doing speed content, however, you can swap this out for a Molten Wildebeest Gizzard. That's going to give you an Absorb Shield once you get it to level 25. That's going to help you maintain your buff on Squirt's necklace. Now, we'll go over exactly what we want on every piece of gear, but first let's take a look at the skills. We'll start by taking Poison Dart, Spined Dart. While this does convert the damage type into physical, you'll note that this is still a poison build, and that's because our fetishes are still shooting poison darts. That overrides whatever our rune is here. So our own dart will be physical, but that's irrelevant because we're not dealing the damage. Our fetishes are when they're shooting their darts at our command. So because we are gaining mana, this allows us to benefit from the Depth Diggers because now this is generating resource. We're going to take Horrify Frightening Aspect. This is for that 50% additional armor for 8 seconds. Nice little toughness buff. Now, if you're doing speed Greater Rifts, or you otherwise feel you don't need that extra toughness, instead of Horrify, you can go with Big Bad Voodoo Slam Dance. This increases damage and attack speed, which increases damage. We'll also take Soul Harvest Languish. Excellent Witch Doctor power, more damage and more toughness. 3% intelligence buff, stacking up to 5 times. Intelligence gives us damage, and it gives us all resist. The Languish rune gives us extra armor. This build can be quite squishy, so stacking this toughness where we can will help. Next, we're taking Piranha's Pyranado. This is an excellent grouping power, a crowd control power for Witch Doctors. It's not dealing any damage. You're using it when you want to be grouping enemies. This build does really great single target damage. All those darts come swooping in. You do want to care about your positioning though. Be mindful of where your fetishes are moving, where they are situated, where the darts are going to come from when you're aiming. It does take some getting used to. There is a bit of skill to develop here while playing this build. So you want to maintain your Soul Harvest buffs at all times, maintain your Horrify at all times. You also have Fetish Army that you're taking Legion of Daggers. The reason we're taking Legion of Daggers is to get those 3 extra fetishes, because the more fetishes we have, the more we benefit from the 4-piece bonus of Zuni's. We're also using Pyranado to trigger our 6-piece bonus of Zuni's. This is a mana spender, meaning if you've not hit an enemy with Pyranado, you're basically dealing no damage to them because you're not activating your 6-piece bonus. Lastly, we're taking Spirit Walk Jaunt as a mobility power. For our passives, very important, Fetish Sycophants. When you hit enemies with your spells, you have a 50% chance to summon a dagger-wielding fetish to fight by your side. This passive allows you to accumulate 15 fetishes just from this passive. Again, that combines with our Zuni 4-piece. You do, however, need to take the time to build up your fetishes. Before you've built up your full fetish army, you're going to be a lot squishier. You really want to be more careful until you've got those fetish numbers up. Next, very important, is Grave Injustice. Gain 1% of your max life and mana, and reduce the cooldown of all of your skills by 1 second when an enemy dies within 20 yards. The range is extended by items that increase your gold pickup radius. So wherever we can as a secondary property on gear, pickup radius, because we don't want to be near enemies when they're dying. We're a ranged build, we want to be hanging back. But Grave Injustice will really help with us popping Piranhas. Piranhas has an 8-second cooldown, and we need to be hitting enemies with Piranhas in order to deal damage to them. So anything we can do to lessen that in order to be able to target and deal damage to more enemies, the better. Your other passives are negotiable. For some defensive options, you can take Spirit Vessel as a cheat death. You can take Swampland Attunement. That gives you and your pets extra resist. If you want more damage, you can go with Confidence Ritual. You deal 25% additional damage to enemies within 20 yards, but again, that's a dangerous game to play. You can take Pierce the Veil. All your damage is increased by 20%, but your mana costs are increased by 30%. The mana cost doesn't really matter. We're a generator build. And now for exactly what we want on every piece of gear. Shoulders, Intelligence, Area Damage, Cooldown, Fetish Army Damage. Helm, Intelligence, Vitality, Crit Chance. Amulet, Poison Damage, Crit Chance, Crit Damage. Our gloves, Intelligence, Attack Speed, Crit Chance, Crit Damage. Chest, Intelligence, Vitality, Fetish Army Damage. Now for our helm, we're putting a diamond for cooldown. For our chest, we're going with rubies for more armor, thus more toughness. As an intelligence-based class, intelligence is something we're stacking a lot of, and intelligence gives you all resist. What we're lacking is armor. Rubies or emeralds give us armor. For our bracers, poison, intelligence, vitality, crit chance. Our belt, intelligence, attack speed, crit chance, poison dart damage. For our pants, intelligence, vitality, armor, and poison dart damage. We're actually foregoing sockets because the 775 armor is more armor than you can get from putting gems in sockets. And we really want that poison dart damage. Our boots, intelligence, move speed, all resist, armor. Both of our rings, attack speed, crit chance, crit damage. Our offhand, raw damage, intelligence, vitality, crit chance, area damage, and fetish army damage. For paragon points, max out your move speed, then intelligence. If you feel squishy, you can put into vitality until you have around 700,000 life. For offense, attack speed, crit damage, crit chance, cooldown. For defense, armor, life, all resist, life regen. Utility, area damage, pickup radius, life per hit, resource cost reduction. For Greater Rift pushing, we're actually going to go with an Enchantress because she gives us attack speed, and attack speed on us translates into more damage for our pets because pet damage is based on our raw sheet DPS, but also the faster we attack, the more often our pets attack because they're shooting when we shoot. We're going to give her the Hand of the Prophet and thus gain all of her skills. How is she going to possibly stay alive in Greater Rifts? Well, the Enforcer makes pets take 90% less damage, and this includes our follower. She still needs some help, however, so we're giving her an Enforcer gem and a Mutilation Guard gem for extra survivability. Also, for gearing stats, we want to stack on her Intelligence first, then Vitality, then Life, then Armor, then All Resist, then Life per hit, and then Attack Speed. For her gear, very important, a Flavor of Time that is going to emanate to us. So when we click on a pylon, pylon effects will last twice as long for us. We'll give her Nemesis Bracers. That emanates to us, shrines will spawn an enemy champion. We're gonna give her an Oculus Ring. This will spawn those golden pools in the ground for us to stand in and deal more damage. We're gonna give her Blind Faith. Because of the 40% chance to blind on hit, that's gonna blind the Rift Guardian, which is gonna help us survive. Because again, we're a little squishy, so any extra time we can spend with the Rift Guardian, not able to see us, not able to target us, not able to hit us, helps. We'll give her Ice Climbers to make her immune to freeze and immobilize, and we're gonna give her the Witching Hour Belt, Tal Rasha's Chest, and 2 pieces of the Cane set to give her more attack speed, but these aren't super critical. And that's gonna wrap up this video. But again, check out maxroll.gg for all your written guide needs, and stay tuned to this channel for more video guides in collaboration with the Maxroll folks. Also stay tuned for the tier list video of the best builds for Season 24, coming out closer to season launch. Thanks for watching. Special thanks to my Twitch, Patreon, and YouTube supporters for making these videos possible. If you like what you see on this channel and want to support the creation of more content, you can consider pledging on YouTube or Patreon and unlocking behind-the-scenes content, monthly virtual hangouts, and more. If you enjoyed this video, please share it. Check out these other videos and subscribe to join Rhykkers Raiders for more Diablo content.